Hello guys, what is up? Hope you're having a fantastic day. So in this video I'm going to share my opinion on killers ranking. In other words, I'm going to make a tier list ranking all killers worst to best according to me. So let's start with our boy Trapper. Trapper is a normal M1 killer with a power of bear traps. He can place traps almost everywhere in the map. And if any survivor steps on trap, they have to struggle in order to escape from trap. But the downside is that traps are based on game RNG. Survivor can escape from traps in just one try or can't even after 5 to 6 tries. So basically Trapper just can place traps and then everything depends on RNG. And his traps spawn all over the map and he have to go and pick up traps across the map. So because of his slow early game and lack of mobility, he goes straight to bad tier. And now let's move on to the next killer of our list, the Wraith. So Wraith is basically an M1 killer with a bell in his base kit. He can clock and unclock with his bell. When he is in clocked mode he is a bit faster and in stealth mode. It means survivors can't see or hear his terror radius and as well as him. But he can't hit in clocked mode, so when he unclocks he gain a speed boost for half a second and his lunge also increased for half second. So because of his stealth aspect, Wraith goes to average tier in our list. And next up we have Hillbilly. So Billy is a chainsaw killer. He can insta down a survivor from healthy using his chainsaw. And when using chainsaw he moves very fast. He goes 9.5 meters per second with his chainsaw. He keeps pressuring survivors and with his ability to traverse the map so quickly he goes straight to deadly tier. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me. But a good Billy can change whole scenario of the match by a small mistake done by survivors. So next up we have the Nurse. Why is she still in the game? Nurse's power doesn't make any sense. You can't loop her. She is above all rules of the game. Nurse sucks. Okay, next we have Michael Myers, aka The Shape. Myers' power is called Evil Within. Evil Within starts with tier 1. And when he stalks survivors his Evil Within increase a maximum to Evil Within 3. And then he becomes a one-hit insta-down monster. His lunge increase a bit as well as his vaulting speed for 1 whole minute. But if survivors play smart and sneaky, and don't give him much value in tier 3, then Myers become normal M1 killer who just stalks you. So with all these information he goes to bad tier. And here comes the Hag. The Hag is a 4.4 meters per second killer, which is a bit slower than normal killers. But her power isn't normal at all. She can place up to 10 traps and then replace the first one. Any survivor trigger her traps by stepping on them. She can teleport to the triggered trap and hit survivor instantly. However, there are a limit to how far she can teleport. But still she can completely block certain area and loops. So with such power she goes straight to deadly tier. And next up we have the Doctor. He is an M1 killer with a power to shock survivors. His power is Static Blast, unleashing a shock attack that covers his entire terror radius. And his ability Shock Therapy. Survivors can't do any interactive actions for 2.5 seconds if Doctor hit them with Shock Therapy. Which is good in loops, but still good survivors can loop him for a while. And his lack of mobility send him to average tier. So up next we have Bubba, aka the Cannibal. Bubba is also a chainsaw killer. He can insta down a survivor with his chainsaw. When he uses his chainsaw sweep his base speed increases to 5.29 meters per second, and any survivors comes in his way get downed. But if he collide with any other thing he goes to a tantrum for 5 to 8 seconds, added 1 second to each charge I guess. He goes in good tier in our list. Next up Freddy, aka the Nightmare. Unlike PC and mobile, Freddy is so overpowered. His lunge attack is bigger than any other killer. And a lot of survivors don't know how to counter him as well as his fake pallets. So for these reasons Freddy goes up to good tier. And next comes the Spirit. No doubt Spirit is one of the strongest killers in the entire game. Her power Yamaoka's Haunting allows her fashing for a short period of time in which her movement speed increases to 7.02 meters per second. And survivors can't see her although they can hear a husk sound. But still she is so strong in loops and pressuring survivors. And for that she goes to deadly tier. And now we're on Legion. Honestly, there are a lot of counterplays against Legion. His power frenzy allows him to injure multiple survivors. And then he becomes basically an M1 killer and good survivors split up and don't let him use of his power. So therefore he goes into bad tier. Next up we have the Clown. So Clown is also an M1 killer with a power to throw bottles. Afterpiece Tonic and Afterpiece Antidote. Using the purple After Tonic bottle, Clown can impair survivors' vision and slow them a bit of seconds. So basically he can hit survivors easily and there is no such counter of his bottles, so for that he goes to good tier. And next up we have the Plague. So basically she have 2 powers, Vile Purge and Corrupt Purge. Vile Purge can sicken injured survivors and Corrupt Purge can injured and down survivors from a bit of distance. But she can't puke from a large obstacles, and in order to get Corrupt Purge she have to be dependent on survivors to cleanse their sickness, and if survivors decided to not cleanse, then basically she becomes an M1 killer with no such powers. For that she goes to average tier. And here comes the Ghostface. His power is called Night Shroud. By activating Night Shroud he becomes undetectable and stalk survivors and mark them for 1 minute. Marked survivor become exposed and can be downed instantly. But survivors can see directly and get him out of his power. So therefore he goes to average tier. And next up the Trickster. I don't know what to say, his power is throwing knives. And to injure a healthy survivor it takes 7 to 8 blades. And he is 4.4 meters per second. Aw come on, he is a bad killer, probably even worse. Straight up meh. Next we have the Oni. Oni is an M1 killer till he hits survivors and then collect blood orbs dropped by injured survivors. Then he becomes a monster and insta-downing machine with amazing speed. He is just a better version of Myers. He can get his power unlimited times. And with that being said he goes to good tier. Next up we have Pig. She is a bad killer. Her ambush is easily counterable, just leave to another loop. And his traps are also RNG based. So she is just an M1 killer that can crouch and become undetectable. She goes to bad tier. Next in the list is the Twins. There are a lot of counterplays to her. If 2 survivors stays together that's it, she can't do anything. Victor down 1 survivor, then the other one kick him and heal before Charlotte reaches there. So she goes to bad tier. Next up we have Pinhead aka the Cenobite. He have a lot in his kit. Summons of Pain can bond a survivor and slow him. And the best part of his power is the box aka the Lament configuration. That constantly spawn chains and annoy survivors. And a good Pinhead knows how to find the box. And he goes to good tier. Next up we have the Demogorgon. I think it doesn't matter now because in new version we won't be able to play with him. But still he is the best balanced killer in the entire game, straight up good tier. And now finally last 2 killers, the Pyramid Head and the Huntress. Both of them deserves deadly tier. Huntress throws hatchet and down survivors easily. And Pyramid Head is the only killer in the entire game that can hit survivors through any obstacles and walls. His special hooking ability Cage of Atonement. Counter most of survivor perks, he can instantly mori tormented survivors on death hook. So they both goes to deadly tier. Here we have the final tier list. If you don't agree with any killer's place feel free to comment down below, I'll be waiting to know your thoughts. And that's it, hope you enjoyed the video, see you in the next one, GG's.